I'm Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts and Lazy Girl Designs, and welcome to the Great Gift Sew Along. We wanted to get crafty with you as the holiday season approaches, so I've put together the best of our best patterns for you to make handcrafted gifts for your loved ones with ease and joy. We'll be making Perfect Pouches by Lazy Girl Designs, Rock Candy Table Topper by Jaybird Quilts, Sweetpea Pods by Lazy Girl Designs, and finishing up with Candy Dish by Jaybird Quilts. Today I'm going to walk you through a zipper installation and finishing up your perfect pouches. Let's get started. So we're going to take our zipper and our small rectangle and head on over to the machine. The following steps are the same regardless of which size perfect pouch you are making. You're going to begin with the small rectangle. You've cut things 3 different sizes. You're going to begin with the smallest piece and fold it in half, and your zipper. And the important part here is that your zipper is longer than this piece. Doesn't matter how much longer, as long as it is longer, so that we can avoid the pull and the stop here at this end. Those are the things that can make zippers complicated, and part of the beauty of perfect pouches is that we don't use those and we work around them. So open your piece up, take your zipper, and you're going to take it right up to that fold and bring this piece down. Then you just want to use your fingers to nicely nest that up there. You want to make sure while you're sewing it doesn't move away from the folds. You want to keep it nestled nicely into that fold. And then we are going to sew a 1/4 inch seam to secure our zipper into this piece. I'm going to use my walking foot. I find that works best to go over the bulk of having a zipper in here. You can use your 1/4 inch foot or whatever foot you find works best for you. I'm going to begin sewing on just the zipper tape, and then I will sew onto the project itself. No need to backstitch, as we will be sewing over these edges later on. So I'm just going to use my hand here to keep my zipper nicely nestled into that fold. And now, here I go. I've got this, so I have sewn my outer piece and my lining at the same time and enclosed the raw edge of my zipper. So I'm just going to head on over to my iron and press this up on both sides to keep that nice and flat before I go ahead and add the next piece. I'm over at my iron, and if you would like, you can go ahead and set this seam. And then we're just going to press this up. And we're going to repeat with the back. And simple as that, with Joan's amazing technique, we have created the outside and the lining all at the same time from one piece of fabric and enclosed the raw edge of the zipper tape. If it feels like magic, that's because it kind of is magic. Now that we have this done, we're going to go ahead and get our other piece and head back on over to the machine. And you want to go ahead and press your largest rectangle in half for your bottom. It is square if you are making the smallest perfect pouch. It is larger and rectangular if you are making the other sizes. So you just want to make sure you fold it in half so that it matches the width of your top piece. And then we are going to do the same thing but opposite of what we did with the top, is we're going to bring the zipper down. And we're going to nest the zipper down here. Our upper part that we did is just going to hang out in there while we're doing this step. And we're going to head over to the machine and sew our same 1/4 inch to enclose the raw edge of our zipper. And here we go. And so just as we did for the top, we've now sewn our outside and our lining at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and go press this. And now we are going to just simply top stitch this in place. It can be anywhere between 1/4 and 1/8, just enough so that you get the rest of the zipper tape and the fabric all in your top stitching. I like to start on the edge, that way I don't end up with any thread nests directly on my piece. And I am going to lengthen my stitch to 3.0. I did 2.5 for the assembly up until now. You can do whichever one you prefer. I don't want to sew over my zipper tape here yet because my pull is still over here, and I'll still need to pull that onto my project. And if I was using a perfect pouch inside a pattern, like I showed in the previous sew along for a lily, this is where I would stop. I would then take this and put this into the project. I'll link to that video below. But if you are making a perfect pouch start to finish, you'll need some extra pieces. So I'm going to head back over to the cutting mat to show you where we go from here. So now that we have this top stitched and pressed, it's time to go ahead and put everything together. We are going to unzip our zipper about halfway. We want to make sure that our zipper is on our project, and we also want to make sure that it's out of the way of us sewing our seams. It's another part of the beauty of this project is that we really avoid the zipper as much as possible. Then we're going to flip that right sides down onto our little quilt sandwich that we already made. And so just a quick reminder, this is one piece of fabric, one piece of batting, and one piece of fabric. You can use fusible fleece if you like, but I find this is a great opportunity to use all those batting scraps that you get when you trim a quilt. And if you're anything like me, you've got a lot of those laying around. They are great to use for these perfect pouches. So then I'm just going to take some sewing clips and clip everything in place. Now that we have everything layered and clipped, it's time to go ahead and sew the rest of our project together. One last double check to make sure that our zipper pull is in the center of our project. If your zipper is still over here at the end, you will not have a pull on your project and there'll be no way to turn it right side out. So just check that you have your zipper somewhere in the middle so that we'll be able to turn our project right side out, but far enough away from either edge that it won't get in the way when we do our sewing. We're going to sew around here with a 1/4 inch seam. If for some reason your pieces are not perfectly lining up on top of each other because your seam allowance was off here or maybe your cutting was off, just sew with a larger seam allowance around the whole project. You could do 3/8, whatever is needed so that you get all of the layers. You'll have 2 layers of fabric that have your zipper in between. Then you'll have 1 more layer on either side of your batting. So it's a total of 5 different layers. Well, we have our clips to hold everything in place. And you can begin sewing anywhere on the project. I like to begin sewing where the zipper is open. That area can give people some concern, worry that things are going to separate. They don't often, but if you sew it first, then you have nothing to worry about. So I am going to just begin here. And if you have not used a walking foot with this project up until now, I suggest you switch to it at this point because we do have batting in all of these layers. A walking foot is very helpful. And if you're worried about this area of the seam here, you can do some reinforcements and sew backwards. Go nice and slow over the nylon zipper teeth, and you shouldn't have any problems. And then when I get to my corner, I'm just going to leave my needle down and pivot, turn my piece, and continue sewing. And you can reinforce your area near your zipper here as well if you'd like. I'm just going to sew back over it a little bit, and there we go. Now, if you'd like, you can reinforce the corners with some diagonal stitching, and if you want extra crisp corners when you go to turn your piece, you can trim off the excess. I'm not going to do either of those. I'm just going to follow the pattern. So at this point, I'm going to trim off my excess zipper. And one quick note is, Joan taught me this a long time ago. These are my zipper scissors. She always said that if you have a pair of sewing scissors that are no longer ideal sewing scissors because they're just not as sharp as they used to be, to make them your zipper scissors. Sometimes cutting zipper can dull your good scissors. So Joan always suggested having scissors on hand that were just for zippers. So these are my zipper scissors. And now that I have those trimmed off, I'm just going to go ahead and zigzag around my piece to encase all of my raw edges. You can decide how wide and how dense you want this zigzag based off of personal preference. The only place you're really going to see it when your pouch is open is right here at the zippers. The rest of it's really going to be pretty hidden. Normally I would do this all in a matching thread, but I put a contrasting thread in my bobbin just so that you could see what this looks like. So you see that's my straight 1/4 inch seam, and then there's my zigzag. And if you end up with little hairs like this, you can go ahead and trim them off before you turn your project right side out. And I like to put my hand in and open the zipper a little more, not all the way, but close to the edge. And then you just begin one corner at a time. And first I use my finger to press as far as I can, and then I'll usually get a tool to press things out a little more. This is where Joan would say patience and pressing. Joan was a big fan of pressing and knew that proper pressing really took something from looking homemade to looking handmade and looking amazing. And so I will take my point turner, and you want to be careful using something too sharp because in the front here we just have fabric. We don't have any interfacing, and I just use it to kind of press out each corner one at a time. And they're not going to be perfectly square. You know, that's not what we're actually going for here. If you look, they're all slightly rounded, but we want to make them look as nice as possible. And so I'm going to go ahead and push them out. And then your zipper might want to push up like this because of the way it is sewn into the sides. And so this is where a good finger press and then a good press with your iron really helps to flatten the project out and give it some memory so it knows where to stay. So let's give it a quick press just to give it some memory. And you can press on top of your pull. You just want to make sure you don't scratch your iron. It is okay to do this, but best practice not to. So I like to kind of go around it and then open my project up a little bit and then continue to press. The nylon coils of the zipper tape won't hurt your iron. The last step before filling up your new perfect pouch is to add a little something to the pull. You can make a homemade pull, or you can use one of these rings that are available from Lazy Girl, and they are great. They just give you something a little bit bigger to grip onto to make it so easy to open and close your perfect pouch. Thank you for tuning in today. If this video was helpful for you, please like it, share your comments with us, and click here to subscribe to this channel. Here are the links to the Great Gift Sew-Along videos and some of my other videos you might like. Sign up to receive the Sew-Along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. I'll see you here next time to make a rock candy table topper.